All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome back to the Reyes Reflection Podcast. Make sure you are subscribing to the pod, sharing the show with someone you know, and follow me on those social medias at I'm Nathanael Reyes. Customarily going to quickly shout out the partners of mine, Jocko Fuel, Clean Fuel Without Compromise, Mad Rabbit, Tattoo Aftercare, Be Bold, Be You, and use that promo code Reyes Reflection at checkout for a discount. And lastly, Arave cards, completing sets one card at a time. Check out the eBay and Facebook page. And as of recently, they are now doing streams on Whatnot. So head on over there and check them out to get started on your Pokemon card collection today. Now that is out of the way, let me introduce my next guest. I'm going to do my best to condense all her decorative accomplishments. In this episode, she and I are going to party like it's 1999. She sang at NFL games. She has sang at NASCAR events. She is an award winner. She has covered songs. She has her own singles, EPs, albums, with one song that made it to Rolling Stone's top 10 country songs of the week. Her music videos have also been showcased on country music television. Some of you may know her from playing overseas. Some may know her as the leader of Waldrup Worldwide. So without further ado, she has brought the sparkle on the stage of The Voice with arguably one of the best blind auditions I've ever seen. She performed Bye Bye, but today we are saying Hi Hi in true lovers fashion. The lovely Karen Waldrup, welcome to the pod.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
I tried my best. That was a long-winded intro because you are just, like I said, you are very decorative with all your accomplishments, which we'll try to get into the seams of all that. But thank you so much for joining me today. So you've been singing for over a decade now, with a lot of accomplishments, as I stated in the intro. But I want to learn a little bit more about yourself first. So how did we get into singing and performing? Was this something you always did as a kid?
Yes, I always played. I always sang. I started playing guitar when I was 16. I started singing in church, like when I was like 8. So I've always sang. It's always been a part of the groundwork of me, and the infrastructure of me is to sing. I remember being really young and just singing, kind of goofing off and just kind of sitting there asking myself, like, I wonder if I can maybe sing. Like, I remember that moment of like questioning, like maybe there is something there, because we all have to find that thing. And I just started singing. My mom said I never stopped. I just sang all the time and I loved it. And I think it annoyed the family, but here I am today. So it's been a wild road. My mom actually says that she thinks that my voice developed. She thinks it was like a slow development. She's like, when you were a young kid, like you didn't have this great tone. You kind of over time. So I wonder if I kind of built the muscle over a long time, kind of like working out, you know?
Yeah. Your vocal exercises, that vocal gym. When did you start to realize that you were good? Because I thought I was a good singer. I loved to sing. And then I would do it around my family, and they would sit there and say, oh, well, you're trying. That I knew pretty quickly meant this ain't for me. So when was it something for you that was like, this, I might be good enough where I could pursue this?
I think when I was in high school, and I kept over and over, the choir teacher, her name's Miss Moss. I talk about her frequently. And she kind of kept plucking me out and giving me these solos. And, hey, Karen, we should move you to the front. Hey, we should move you to this section. Hey, you've already kind of scored the soprano 1. Let's move you to soprano 2. There was a lot of action going on for me when I was in high school choir. And I was always like kind of the one in the front singing the solos and stuff. So I think maybe that was when I was the one singing the national anthem and the choir was backing me, when I was the one being called to sing that church, Christmas solo or whatever. I just kind of slowly realized that maybe, and then by the end of high school, I actually got a scholarship to the University of Southern Mississippi for vocal scholarship. So I think that definitely validated, like, okay, well, if the university is willing to help me out financially, if I'll sing in the orchestra choir, then there must be something there. So I kept singing and playing guitar. And then it really was, for me, it was really about writing songs. I really love to write songs. So I started writing songs and performing those songs. And that's when I really got hooked, when I was writing something and then I was going and playing it in front of a live audience. And I was able to, in that moment, determine whether or not those people liked that song or did not like that song. And to this day, I do the exact same thing. I write it, I play it about 3 times. After the 3rd time I play it live, if no woman walks up to me after the show and goes, "Oh my God, my mom," whatever, then I scratch it. You know, if it doesn't connect, if there's not some sort of, "Oh my God, I just texted my mom," or sent her a video of that, or "My sister would love this," if there's not any sort of like true connection, I don't really play that song anymore. So I really try to use the live show moment to kind of test these songs out. I have one recently that I was playing this very last time I was on stage. Brand new song, played it. The crowd just after the show just kept going on and on and on. Now we're going to track it, you know? So it helps me understand like which song should I put the money behind, because for me, they're all my babies. Like I think they're all great. Every single song I've ever written is the best song ever, right? So I think using the true, real captive audience is what helps me to know kind of how to follow the train a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I do that now. But for me, it really is about telling stories and writing songs. I love to write songs. I love to create songs. I love to mix them. I love to track them. I just love it. It's so fun.
I think it's really impressive that you're able to use that, I guess you could say, feedback to help you navigate your music career, because like you just said, I think it's hard because I was interviewing someone last week and we were talking about songs and how every song is a lot of effort, a lot of work. Even a 3-4 minute song, you're working on it for hours. It's not just something that you're just like, hey, let me just throw this together. No, you're writing the songs and then you're performing and then you're trying to get that 3-4 minute song perfect.
It's for like months.
Exactly. And so there's a lot of work in the dark behind the scenes. But why I bring that up is because it is hard, because I feel like at that moment in time, you do want to get this personal connection to it. But how you said, there are some times where you're like, no, you know what? I still love it, but I may have to put it on the back burner for now, so that way I can focus more on this that connects to the audience. And I think that's good. I think that's probably why your fans have really gravitated towards you, because they are sensing that connection, so to speak. So
I very much so care.
that's awesome. No, that's the best way to do it. It's authentic. It's real. Yeah, I love that.
Absolutely.
I saw that you grew up in Louisiana. What was that like for you down there? Have you been to Mardi Gras? How's that been?
Oh my gosh, I went to every single Mardi Gras all growing up until I went to college. And then I would go back for Mardi Gras. And then I moved to Nashville and I would go back for Mardi Gras. And then after enough years passed, I just got busy and was touring and all that. So I did go back last year, not this year, 2024, but I did go 2023. And I try to go to Mardi Gras every time I can, because there's just nothing more fun and free than standing there watching bands walk by and catching Mardi Gras parades and drinking daiquiris and eating shrimp po' boys. I mean, it is like heaven on earth for a Louisiana girl. So I try to go to Mardi Gras every time I can. And I have a lot of family down there. They love Mardi Gras. They get the backpack. We take the trolley down. I mean, we go hard on Mardi Gras. So it's definitely a fun thing. It's a family-friendly thing. The kids come. We set up coolers and put blankets out. It's just such an emotional fulfillment for me. I love Mardi Gras. I try to go every time I can. But, not every year.
The life of being a superstar, sometimes you got to miss it, right? I mean, it happens. So Louisiana is very rich in food, beignets. We were talking about Mardi Gras, local stories. Do you know about the Rougarou or those other folklores, the Honey Island Swamp Monster or the Grunch? Do you know about those?
I don't know about the Grunch.
But you know about the Rougarou?
Not the Rougarou, but I've heard about the Honey Island Swampers.
Okay. What are those? I'm into folklore, so what is that?
I don't really know. I just know there's like restaurants named after it, and like,
really?
Maybe you need to educate me.
Okay. I only know the Rougarou is like this wolf that is on hind legs and it kind of hides out. I'm into folklores.
I'll have to look that up. Oh.
Yes, look it up. Most definitely. Look it up. It's
a Louisiana thing?
It is. It's a Louisiana thing. Yes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know about that. The Rougarou?
Yep. And it's actually one of the top 10, like I was watching a documentary of it. It's actually considered one of the top 10 folklores in the US. Yeah.
How do you spell that?
I have it here. I have, don't quote me on it. All right. Rougarou.
Okay.
Are you looking it up?
No, I'm gonna just write it down for later.
All right, yeah, you'll have to look it up and then circle back with me and be like, "Oh my goodness, like this is what I found out." Yes.
And I have so many families, a lot of family down there, so I'm gonna be running this by them.
I love it. I love it. Go down a rabbit hole in a little bit. Let me know what you find out.
I'll be watching that documentary.
Yes, yes. Can you talk about the viral video of yours? You sang Leanne Womack. I hope you dance. Love that song. That's a song that I hear and I start to tear up every time I listen to it, just because it's so beautiful. I think I saw something that said it had over 40 million views or something like that. Can you just talk about that experience? Because I know you talked about it on The Voice, but I want to hear from you. Just how did this even come to be?
So actually, it wasn't even my idea to do that song. I was actually doing an Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign at the time, and I know that The Voice doesn't have enough time to kind of go over all that. So that's something that I didn't talk about on the show, but I talked to them about it. It just wasn't on the show. Anyway, I was doing an Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign, so I was raising money for my record Justified, and I had all these little perks. I'm sure you've seen them where people have T-shirts, or you can request a acoustic show or a virtual show or whatever. Well, one of my perks was I'll cover the song that you request. So you pay X amount of money. I play that song. I put it out on the internet, whatever. Well, this girl, Destiny Willis, it was her 16th birthday, and her mom, Carly Capley, got that for her birthday and asked me to play I Hope You Dance because that was her and her daughter's song. So I played it. I sat in front of my fireplace. I played it. I sang it for her. It was really for her. The video went massively viral, completely changed my life, like totally. And I later gave her money back because I was like, this just ain't right. I was like, you are not paying for this. Like, you changed my life. So I literally like PayPal'd her the money back, which was a cute little ending to the story, but so fun. Such an incredible moment for me. I think what the reason why that video went viral is because I was so calm. I had just done a live stream. We had played a bunch of music that night, and I went back into my closet to change. And I walked into the closet all by myself, and I thought, I want to go get a beer. It was like 8 o'clock or something, 9 o'clock. I want to go get a beer. I'm a honky tonker. I'm proud. I'm proud of it. Okay. I don't lie about it. So anyway, so I'm like, you know what? Before I go grab a beer with whatever friend I was going with, I'm just going to record that real quick. And so I went back in the living room, tuned up the guitar, put the fresh lipstick on, and sat there and recorded that. I sent it to my friends, Kevin and Darren at Country Rebel, which they're a huge partner for me and still to this day are. And they shared that video. I shared it. We shared it on every platform we could think of. And it just hit. I mean, it hit hard and fast. Like in 24 hours, it had like 1 million views. So it was one of those moments where I think people were just sharing it a lot. I think it had some sort of, we call it the music muse. And it's like when the music muse strikes, you can't plan for it, but you better take advantage of it. And that's whether it's songwriting, production, it happens in the studio, happens on stage, happens on video content, I believe. And it's when there's this, I know it sounds crazy, but you started the folklore.
I did. I started it. You finish it.
I'll finish it. But anyway, it's just amazing how, whether we're in the studio or writing, it's almost like this extra force comes in and just takes care of it. And it actually happens on the road too. I'm telling you, there's a music muse. Like you're on the road, you think you don't possibly have enough time to sound check, load in, makeup, hair, but sure enough, there you are walking on time, 7:01, you're supposed to be on at 7. You're like, how the hell did we do that? It's like there's this extra force that's just kind of with you. And that actually gives me a lot of peace too, because sometimes it can be a little stressful. You're trying to load up for 5 shows back to back in Europe. You got one bag. You're trying to pack all these bags. You got to have necklaces. You got to share the shoes. You got to think about all this like a puzzle, right? So I think that, the music muse gives me peace, because sometimes I'll start to get overwhelmed and I'll stop and think like, okay, this always works out. Like it always does. So why am I stressing now? It's always worked out for the last however many years, Sure, I've missed a chord on stage. Sure, I've messed up a structure or whatever, but it works out because like the band has my back, and we have this symbol that I give them if I mess up, so they've always got my back. So anyway, it just kind of takes a little bit of the pressure off to know that it just really always works out. It's kind of crazy thanks to the music muse.
Yeah, it's serendipitous, and you have to strike when the iron's hot. If the tide is turning and you're going that way and everyone else is going that way, you should. So it sounds like you did with this opportunity, which was fantastic, which has led
Yes.
you to other opportunities, like you mentioned, performing overseas, Scotland, England, Switzerland. Can you share what it was like to perform and sing overseas?
I love international travel. It's part of what makes me tick. I always say it literally, like going to a foreign land where I don't know anybody. Maybe there's differences in culture. I may not even know the language. There's just such a thrill to that for me. I love to see different places. I love to speak different languages. I mean, very basic speaking their language, but I love using foreign currency. Like, I just love getting to an airport and trying to find the train. Like, I love the challenge of international travel, and I love seeing the world. The very first time I ever played internationally was actually in Germany, I think. And it was like forever ago. But anyway, that was the very first time. And it was more like a jam with a local band. And then over time, I've been able to go back with like my own, Karen Waldrup shows. And granted, they're smaller shows. We're talking about Ireland. We did a pub tour, so we were playing like small pubs, but they were packed and people were having a great time. It was really small. There was like this one night that the dude was like, literally, here's the guy's face and here's me. It's like one of those Irish pubs. So anyway, it's a blast because people are so hospitable, and I get to go travel all across Europe, see castles, learn history, try new foods, experience new things. I love that. I love my team that I travel with. I love to create video content while I'm over there. I love the thrill of the beauty and the wonder of the world. I love the world. I love to see the world. America too. There's a lot of places in America I've never been. But I think one of my favorite places that I ever played was when I was in Barcelona, Spain, and everyone spoke Spanish except me. I'd speak a little. And they had this line, and everyone lined up, and I just stood there for the pictures, and I was like, "Hola, ¿cómo está? Gracias, adios." And the next person, "Hola, photo? Oh, gracias, adios." And this went on for like an hour, and that's all I could say to them. But it was just so rich in music and in feeling and in connection. It was like the conversation didn't even need to happen. They were correcting my Spanish constantly. That's normal. That happens to me every time I go to Mexico. I get a little better each time, I think. But anyway, I do have a thrill and a passion for speaking Spanish. I'm not great at it, but I try to practice every time I can. So I think that's really the cool thing, is to stand on stage and see a sea full of people who only speak Swiss German and sing and still be able to connect. Like, there's just something really majestical about that. It's a language too,
I agree. I've said music and sports are the two things that you could be side by side to someone, not know their background, not know anything about them, but somehow you have your arm around them and you're singing the same song or you're cheering on the same team. It's just it's weird. It's a music muse, it's an external force that's helping this atmosphere. So I agree.
Maybe there's a sports muse. Maybe there is one. You'll have to ask a sportsman that question.
I will. I'll have to reach out. Yes. Speaking of sports, great transition. You sang at a Saints game. Drew Brees sings along with you.
That was the best moment of my life.
Yeah. How did you get involved in that?
Thank you for bringing that up. Actually, that just made my day, actually, just thinking about that. I'm friends with a guy. I waited tables with him at Macaroni Grill, Alex Restrepo, and it was his idea. He was like, "Man, you got to play. You got to sing for the Saints." I'm like, "Dude, if the Saints will let me sing the national anthem, I don't care what it costs. I'm there." So sure enough, there I was walking on the field for the sound check at the empty Superdome and just looking around. And it's like singing the national anthem is kind of like, to me, it's kind of like the first step of singing in the dome. You get to sing in the dome. The next thing, you might be playing in the dome for, halftime or little side stage, who knows? But I love the Saints, my favorite football team. And I have a lot of passion for working with Louisiana and also New Orleans. And so I look forward to getting to play in the Superdome in an actual like band, my music moment. Actually, I have this new song, Louisiana Hurricane, that I'm actually finishing right now that I'm really excited for the Saints and the Dome and everybody to hear. I'm praying for that one. You have your goals, right? That's one of my goals is to get Louisiana Hurricane playing in the Dome, people dancing. It's a really rocking song. But anyway, so singing the national anthem on the 50-yard line for the New Orleans Saints and looking out. And as I'm singing, having Drew Brees looking at me singing along to the same song was like a Louisiana girl's dream come true, because I'm like, that's freaking Drew Brees. Like Drew Brees is like the president in New Orleans. You know what I mean? Like he's like so important. Okay. So it's just really neat. And just all the players just singing together. It was just really one of the highlights of my life.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I wanted to bring it up.
It was really great.
I mentioned in the intro, you also won an award because you moved to Nashville now. You transitioned your life in Nashville, and you won Artist of the Year in Nashville. What's that mean to you?
Being an independent artist, there's not a lot of awards that you can really win, right? Because I don't have radio play. I don't have a record label. Like people are like, what does that mean, independent artist? I'm like, okay. You know how you got like a florist down the road that's managing their own florist? They're buying the flowers, they're paying the overhead. Like that's me in music. Like I'm running my own flower shop here. Like it's just, that's what it is. There's no major camaraderie umbrella. It's just me and my people and some cold beer. It's just like, we're just doing it, like we're just doing it. We're having fun. We're wrapping cables. We're packing hats and t-shirts, and we're just making music, So anyway, probably got off of side tangent there, but being an independent artist, there's just really not a lot of like awards that you can really win. So there's one called the Nashville Industry Music, and it's called NEMA. And it is one that's designed for independent artists. And so I was nominated the first year and then the second year, and then I won Artist of the Year and a lot of other awards that year. But it was because of my record Justified. That was the one that really kind of got some attention from the NEMAs. And their whole organization has been behind me for so many years. They saw the light. They believed in me. They have an incredible organization that allows independent artists to be honored. I even got to sing at the events. So it's just been awesome. We had a little table, took a lot of photos. There's been several years that we've done it. But anyway, the NEMAs are just something that I'm really proud of. And I have all my awards hanging. And now I just have to add my voice trophy.
Yes. Yes. You have been so good in helping transition this podcast, because every time I want to go ahead and transition it, you're bringing up something. You brought up the sports. Now you're bringing up the voice, which that's what we're going to get into next.
I'm reading your schedule here.
That's right. You know what? You know what? This is great. So we're going to transition into the voice now. So blind audition day, you sang Bye Bye. You rocked the performance. You looked amazing. Dan and Shay were singing along with you, and they instantly turned around. I don't know if that was for TV, but it seemed that way. Is that true?
They instantly turned around.
Okay, they did. With a block. You even threw a hair flip at the end, which I loved.
I know, I saw that back. I'm like, damn, she was having some fun.
I wore my hair down just in case I wanted to, flip it in this episode. Reba was blocked. John and Chance gave you some great compliments. You got to share your Grammy story of how you saw Dan and Shay at the Grammys. What was that moment like for you when you were taking it all in? Because you said that this was probably one of the biggest stages that you were going to perform on, currently speaking. So what was that moment like for you?
Okay, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've never been more nervous than I was to do the blind auditions for The Voice. I was very nervous. Backstage, I was tripping out. I was losing it. I was like, oh my God, somebody get me on that stage already. And I realized afterwards the reason why is because my business and my career has all been like, I think this will make sense. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Get to the gig. Sound check. Load in. Set up the merch table. We got a VIP coming in. All right, great. Karen, touch up your makeup. You're on. Like, I'm not used to this, like, sitting backstage for multiple hours. Like, I'm like, that's not something I've ever experienced ever. Not even like in high school choir. Like it was always a hustle to get it done last minute. We got to get the outfits pressed. There's always something. So for me to sit back there and just be still and wait, like, drove me crazy. So I was really, really, really nervous. Like, I don't know if anybody was as nervous as me. And also it was really nerve wracking because I didn't know if the chair was going to turn or not. And I felt like if a chair didn't turn, that could really be detrimental to me and everything that I've built. Like, oh man, she's not really that good. Like, so I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do this, a chair has got to turn. Like, I have got to come out guns blazing. So I did everything in my power. I mean, I'm telling you, I practiced a million times. I took my baths every night. I did my little steamer. I drank my tea constantly. I just did everything I could because I was bound and determined to get on The Voice.
If singing ever doesn't pan out for you, which I think you're on the right path, you might be a great actress because you had me fooled. On TV, it looked like you were comfortable as can be.
Right. As soon as that door opened, I was good.
Really? Okay, so it was the anticipation.
It was the anticipation. As soon as the door opened, I was like, my body was like, oh, it's just a stage.
Yes.
Like, that's all it is. You've been stressing me out over this. We've been doing this. So it was like my body recognized the stage. My body understood those are people. This is just a crowd. This is normal. And then I was good. But being backstage, I'm like, what am I doing? Oh my God, this is crazy. It was crazy.
No, you rocked it. You were excellent. In a hypothetical world, if Reba hadn't been blocked, would there have been a harder decision for you to kind of go between Dan and Shay and Reba?
Okay, I'm going to be honest now. I'm always honest, but I'm going to be honest. I was going to pick Reba.
You were? Okay.
Yeah. And I had it in my plan that if all 4 chair turns or just Reba or 2 or 3, I was picking Reba. So I think God had bigger plans for me. I think Dan and Shay, now that I'm on Team Dan and Shay, I just think it's a better fit for me.
Yep.
Because Dan and Shay is one of the probably top 3 singers I've ever heard in my life. Like, the dude is unbelievable. And Dan is so good at structure and production and key and tempo and everything else. So you literally have the best of both worlds. Like, they have each other's weaknesses. So wherever Shay is weaker, Dan is stronger. Wherever Dan is stronger, Shay is, you know what I mean? Like, they're like yin and yang.
Yes.
So you really have the complete package between the two of them. So it really was a better thing for me because now that I've gotten to work with them, they have really pushed me. I have learned so much from them. So I can't say that I wouldn't have learned that much from Reba, but I just know that Dan and Shay have given me the ultimate life gift by just taking their time, really connecting with me. And I feel very connected with Dan and Shay. I feel like they get me, I get them.
Yep.
I think we have similar morals, and I love this new record, Bigger Houses. My whole concept of happiness for me is contentment. That's like my constant thing I'm always trying to do, like, in my life. Whatever it is, if I'm cooking, I'm trying to be happy with those foods. Thankful for that chicken. Thankful that I have this broccoli, rather than sitting there constantly going, I wish we had steak tonight. So I'm always about that. And their entire record is about contentment. So it's like the perfect time for them to have released that record. That's pretty much all about contentment. Don't be jealous of other people. You have no idea what their life's really like. Be content, and then therefore you will be happy. This is a conversation. I've had arguments with people. They think by being content that you're not hustling. I disagree. I think you can be content and hustle really hard, because you're not saying you're not happy with what you have by hustling. You're just saying, I want to have fun, right? I want to have fun. I want to live a full life, right? So I think from them releasing Bigger Houses, me hearing that message when I was building a fence in the backyard, that was the first time I'd heard that record, especially that song. And then me coming up this journey that I've built, and they came up just like me, by the way, living in an apartment, writing songs, acoustic guitar, simple life, playing bars, and coming up that way. I just think that we have a lot in common. And then we both live in Nashville, or they live somewhere in Nashville. I don't know where they live, obviously, but they live in Middle Tennessee. I live in Middle Tennessee. So I think they'll be friends for a long time. And I'm really happy for that.
God has an ultimate plan. I'm a firm believer in that, and He gives you what you need when you need it.
Yes.
I was talking to a buddy of mine a couple weeks ago about something like this, and I said, He's our Father, right? God's the Father, and whenever you say to your father as a kid, I want candy for dinner, he says no, because he knows that that's not good for you. And sometimes he says God gives you things so that because he knows that that's what you need at that moment in time. So
Yes. I love that. Yes.
I agree. So
Dan and Shay were my meant to be.
amen. That's right. As of last night, though, your episode aired with your battles, which was on, like I said, just last night. When this episode airs, this podcast episode, it will be next week, so it'll be a week after. But you opened up about your husband. You performed a Dan and Shay song in front of Dan and Shay. You had great stage presence once again. It got a little spicy at the end. All right, you threw a little razzle, a little dazzle. You won, but what was that moment like? You just talked about how you're not a big anticipation fan. What was that moment like as they were going to make a decision on whether or not you proceeded?
Well, I honestly wanted to get the playoff pass.
Okay.
Yeah, because I love Ryan, and I think Ryan's really awesome. So, and I thought our performance was really great. So I think we were fighting for each other.
Yeah.
We weren't necessarily battling. We were fighting for each other. Both of us wanted each other to stick around. We really got along great. You know what's interesting? We did that battle performance, and we never had one disagreement, one argument, one pissed off, nothing. Not even like you're late, nothing. We just, if he said be there at 3 and I walked in at 3:05, I was a few minutes late, he wasn't pissed at me. Like, we just kind of got together. We worked diligently together. We worked hard together. I think we created a piece of art together. And that was actually an idea that one of our friends had, Monique, at the end, for us to come together like that. And I think it was perfect for us because we're both really established on stage. So we both felt confident doing that. But I don't know, maybe I am just an overly optimistic kind of person. But as I was standing up there, and I think that's good 95% of the time to be really optimistic. But then there's other times in life where being overly optimistic might not necessarily be realistic. But in this moment, I was being overly optimistic, thinking, okay, doesn't matter who wins the battle because we're getting the playoff pass. We brought it, we crushed, and we executed that performance. That's the only time we ever sung it. That was it. That was the one and done. They don't do multiple takes. That's it. You get the one, and that's it. Which I love about the show. I think that keeps it fair.
Mm-hmm.
If you drop the ball, you drop the ball. That's on you. So I think we just had crushed it so much. Like, it was exactly what we had rehearsed. Both of us didn't go flat or sharp. I felt like we were both on pitch, on tempo. We were singing the same parts at the same time. We were really rehearsed. We knew exactly what we were doing. So I think after we executed, I was like, okay, even if it's me that goes, then that means hopefully we'll get the playoff pass, Yeah. Or hopefully one of us will get stolen. Like, I didn't want to get stolen, though. I was bound and determined to stay on Team Dan and Shay. I wanted to win that battle. So anyway, after I won the battle, I was even backstage and I was crying because I felt like, oh no, is he really going to go? Is that really happening? Is he really going to go home? Like, that didn't even cross my mind, And then they're like, okay, does anyone want to steal? And I'm like, why isn't anyone stealing him? He's amazing, And then no one stole him. And then I was just kind of like, that's like when it hit me, like, oh. So I guess I didn't really realize until after I was backstage, to answer your question. Like, I was just kind of so optimistic.
Yeah. Well, like, as you mentioned, sometimes that optimism is needed, especially now, today's world. But it is unfortunate, and I thought you two did an excellent duet. And it showed. You just said you didn't feel like it was fighting with each other; it was fighting for each other, which showed.
Yeah.
I felt like that showed because I felt like it was more of a duet as opposed of you were fighting or battling him.
Yes, that's what we wanted. That's what we wanted. Do you sometimes, when you watch the show, feel like sometimes it is like more of a battle?
No, for the most part, I think when I watch a show, I think that show in particularly does a very good job at allowing it to be more of like no, we both want to see each other succeed. And I've interviewed people from past seasons, and they all say that every season it's like a little family that you built, and you come together, and because you're in this, I don't want to say traumatic experience, but you're in this experience together. So it appears to me that it seems like it's something that, for the most part, it's generally a positive a positive vibe from everyone. So
Totally.
all right, awesome. Let's end with some burning questions while we wrap up then. What's the biggest internal obstacle you had to overcome to truly pursue your own music career?
Oh, okay. I'm going to answer that one. I was very much in love with this guy when I was in college, and he was in the Army, and he left and went off and went to war, and he wanted to marry me, and we had the best love, and I was constantly going to Colorado to see him, and it was just such a incredible love story that we had from college. And I had to decide, was I going to make music or was I going to get married and be in the Army and go all over the nation and follow him wherever he needed to go? And it was like, I always say our stars were crossed. Like it was just not going to happen. Like there was no way that I could make music and constantly be moving every 2 years. There's no way. And there's no way that he could be in the military and deal with me constantly being traveling and on the road. And then he's over at war. And so it was really, it was a long, I know it sounds crazy, but it was like a long 5 years of heartbreak that I had to endure, because then he got engaged and he got married and I still hadn't found love. And then I regretted it. And anyway, so I chose music over love. And I think that is a true testament to passion for music, because I really loved him and he really loved me. And it just wasn't meant to be, it just wasn't in the cards. But it was what gave me the passion to never give up, because I'm like, geez, if I gave up love, I can't just go work a day job. Like, that's not cool. Like,
Yeah. No.
I'm not giving up that easy. So it did put that zest under me, that fire under me to just, I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to choose this, then I'm going to choose this. So it was a blessing in disguise.
I commend you, because I think it sounds like, to me, it sounds like you, I always say life is binary. There's two sides. You can go this path or you can go this path, and you choose. It sounds to me like you went ahead and you saw something that seemed like a safe side, and you saw something that was a huge risk. And you went ahead and you took that huge risk, which obviously is panning out for you. But it is hard. You know, it's hard to think about, because love is not promised, and neither is a music career. So
good point.
It's like, you know, none of these things are truly promised, but one you know and one you don't. Like, I was having a conversation with my cousin a couple days ago, and I said, I think the reason why people hold on to the past so much is because the past is known, where the future is unknown. So that's why they're so afraid of the future, whereas the past, they already know the past, so they hold on to it. The future, you don't know what's going to happen.
That's so true. That's so true. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. That's so true, because it's so comforting to look at the past, and the future is so scary because you're like, I have no idea.
Even if the past is bad, you hold on to it because it's what you know. Whereas the future, you don't know. You don't know if it's going to work out or not. But I'm happy that you made that decision. I know at the moment it probably felt like the end of the world, but it seems like it's panning out in your favor. So awesome.
I think for both of us, I think it worked out for both of us.
Yes, God has a plan.
Yep.
I thought I saw something where People magazine covered a photo shoot of your wedding. Is that true?
Yes, they actually covered the wedding, the actual wedding, the event, the flowers, and that was really a crazy thing, because that wedding was during COVID.
Oh, okay.
So there were masks and social distanced, and it was only 28 people at the entire event. So it was kind of a sad, reality that the event was changed so much to COVID, but at the same time, I think it's I'm so proud of the statement that we made for love by getting married anyway. We weren't going to wait one more day. And if you were going to be there, great. If you weren't, then here's the Zoom link. Like, that's how we felt. Like, we were just like, bye, Felicia, we going. So we went. It was a beautiful day. The service was beautiful. Obviously I'm not going to sit here and act like it was a cherry on top event. It was constant roller coaster, because people changes, COVID guidelines, restrictions, all the stuff. Yep. But I think in the end, I'm really thankful that People magazine covered it, because that was like, there was like so many things that were stolen from us. I didn't have a bachelorette party. He didn't have a bachelor party. We didn't have a bridal shower. We didn't get any of that engagement party stuff, because actually we did get an engagement party. It was just everybody had to take COVID tests. Okay, it's not glamorous, all right. But at least I can't say we didn't have one. It was just very small. But anyway, so I was really thankful that People Magazine covered it, because now that enough time has passed, being able to look at those photos in the magazine, I just can't help but be proud of overcoming that. You got to be proud when you overcome something like that. That was one hell of a thing to overcome. And then you look around and you see other people, how it affected them, like kids graduating from college that couldn't get jobs, and you don't feel so bad for yourself, because you're like, well, at least I got to get married. They had to go bartend for 2 years. Yeah. So anyway, so I look at those pictures, I look at People Magazine, and I'm thankful that they reviewed the event, and spoke the truth. It was a beautiful day. The flowers were beautiful. It just was definitely not 100% what you envision as a child, but that's life, right?
Right. It's about being content, like you said. Yep.
Yep. And ironically, we ended up on our honeymoon in Myrtle Beach, and my husband actually saved somebody's life in the ocean. So we're like, well, if we would have pushed our wedding back, then that guy, may or may not be alive. So it's the same thing that you said earlier. Just God just kind of provides. God just puts us where we're supposed to be. And so after he saved that guy's life in the ocean, we were like, okay, well, obviously we did the right thing. Like, obviously we're supposed to be here.
Right. Oh my goodness. Wow. We'll have to do a part 2, and you'll have to share that story on part 2. So at some point. So, all right. Has anyone ever called or referenced you as a Karen, but not because it's your name?
Yes. Yes. And honestly, what's really funny is that actually when I was out in LA, again, I guess I know about the Karen thing. I see it. It's at this point, it's so old. It's like 4 years old. It's kind of annoying, right? But I kind of always, like, in my head, it was like out of sight, out of mind, because people didn't make the joke in front of me.
Right.
Until this girl on The Voice, stupid little 16-year-old brat, we're in the gym working out, and I'm getting the weights and everything, and I'm leading the workout. She's getting a free workout. And we go to the side room, and they have a convention, and we go to work out, and I set up my stuff, and this guy comes. I asked the guy, I said, can we do our workout right here? It's a beautiful view of the mountains. He's like, sure, yeah. So this other guy comes out, and he's like, I'm so sorry. The convention's in there. It's like a really conservative, like, political event. Like, I'm so sorry, y'all have got to move. Like, we can't have booty shorts in front of the convention. So I was like, oh, that's fine. I said, I just want you to know that I did ask permission, but it's fine. And the girl I'm working out with goes, yeah, must be a Karen.
Because the way you said it?
No, the person who was kicking us out.
Oh, okay. So the person that kicked, I thought she was calling you one. Okay.
Yeah. And at first I'm like, does this girl not know that's my name? She did not know that was my name.
Oh,
she did not know my name. I'm telling you, I was livid. I was like, that was it for me. Like, that was it. I'm like, okay, here you got me started.
Yeah.
You cannot, in our country, identify someone's identity if they're gay, Black, Indian, Hispanic, fat, pregnant. You don't get to do that, but you can make fun of Karen all day long.
Yeah.
Which I find is interesting, because it is part of my identity. My mom named me that.
Yep.
So I just find it really interesting that, like, there's no other thing that you can get away with social bullying except the Karen thing. Like, that's it. Everybody else is going to defend if someone says something about somebody's identity, oh, that girl's fat, I'm going to defend that person and say, dude, be nice. She's living her life. She's doing her thing. You have no idea she could have a health problem. Like, leave her alone, right?
True, yeah.
We're going to defend someone when someone says, oh, that person's not capable of this because they're Hispanic. Excuse me, have you ever traveled to Mexico? Like, you're going to stand up for someone, but no one ever stands up for the Karen. Everybody just acts like it's totally acceptable and normal. So I just kind of let it go. I'm just like, whatever.
Well, I think starting today, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start defending Karen. So if I ever hear, I'm gonna say, you know what? I interviewed one of the most lovely people in the world, and her name was Karen. So I'm gonna defend this.
Thank you. It starts with you. It starts
does.
right here with you.
All it does is takes one person. That's right. You heard it here on the Reyes Reflection. I'm proclaiming this. So.
There was a drunk guy at my show in New Orleans, and when I got off stage, he's so drunk he hollers like, "Wow, she's bringing back the Karen."
Oh my! No, not today. As soon as I hear it, I'm saying no. All right, you will not say that. So
correct. You're gonna defend me. You're gonna stand up for me.
I will. I have one more question for you. I'm gonna do something that I've never done before. I'm gonna add it to the screen right now. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Let's see if I know how to do this. Okay. Here we go. If a dog wore pants, would they wear the pants like this or like that? Do you see the two different ones?
I would say the one on the right.
Okay. Yes. I agree. Okay. I've never done anything like that before, so that was fun. Thank you for doing that. Yes.
I have a dog. I'm a dog lover. I have a black.
So am I. That's why I added it for you. I added it for you because I knew how much you love dogs. You show your dog on your TikTok and all that stuff. So let's wrap up here. Plug in your socials. Where can people find you, listen to you, follow you? Tell the peeps where they can experience Karen and end Karen bullying.
That's my new T-shirt.
Yes, it is.
That's great. Follow the crosswalk. Okay. You can check me out on literally any social media. Karen Waldrup Music on Instagram, Karen Waldrup on Facebook, Karen Waldrup Music on TikTok. We try to keep it straightforward, and we are verified, so it's pretty easy to find me. But also, I love KarenWaldrup.com. People follow me at KarenWaldrup.com. Then I'm able to send them quarterly newsletters of has the run of shows, because you never know, somebody might follow the music in Utah and be on vacation in Destin, Florida, and we're at Destin, Florida, we're playing a gig. Oh my gosh, we happen to be down there. So I think it's better for people to just sign up for the website so that they get a cumulative schedule, because then they might say, oh, my husband and I, we were planning on going to Montana anyway in July, and you're playing Montana July 15th. We'll just go then.
Yeah, we'll catch
whatever. So I say people just sign up for the website, and then I'm responsible for sending you the list of data. And that seems to really be great. So I always encourage people to it's free. Just go drop your email in, and then that allows us to say, hey, here's our list of dates.
Awesome. Well, Karen, thank you so much for taking time out of your day, joining me on the show. You are now a friend of the show. I've sworn you in. So you are now forever a friend of the show.
Worldwide.
That's right. Waldrup Worldwide is now friends of the Reyes Reflection podcast. So that is going to do it for this episode of the Reyes Reflection. Follow the show, share the show, follow me on the socials at I'm Nathanael Reyes, and check out our wonderful sponsors, Arave Cards, Jocko Fuel, and Mad Rabbit. And as always, may you live, may you love, and may you thrive. I'm Oprah. I love you all. And stop saying Karen.
Stop Karen bullying. That was so good.